Project Injustice, Infanticide in China. Project members are Caitlin Colazzo, Abby Folk, Kaehler Roth, and Jimmy Whalen. For our project, we'll be focusing our efforts on infanticide in China. We aim to help the people in rural China. There, we're going to build orphanages to provide another option for the parents. This map shows the rural provinces in China where in some of them we will build the orphanages. One of the main causes of the infanticide of children is the one-child policy enacted in the 1970s to control population growth. This created a need or want for sons in China. The other children were abandoned or killed. In some rural areas, the people are allowed to have a second child if the first is a girl. Now, in some places, families are allowed to have a second child if either parent is the only child. But that still leaves all those extra children who are outside the law, who, as a result, are abandoned or killed. We want to provide a place where parents, even if they cannot keep the child, can know their children are safe and taken care of. This next video explains why in some regions, girls' children are unwanted and seem too much of a hassle.
Around the world, the average gender ratio is 105 boys for every 100 girls born. But in certain regions in India and China, that ratio is as high as 140 boys to every 100 girls. And each year, that ratio skews more and more towards boys as fewer and fewer girls are born. What is causing this tremendous shift in the two most populated nations on Earth? In India and China, most families prefer sons to daughters. Their cultures and traditions have instilled in them a belief that sons bring strength, blessing, and wealth to the family. Daughters do not. In fact, daughters in these cultures are typically considered drains on families and their resources. For instance, in India, a daughter's family is usually expected to pay an expensive dowry of property and money to the husband's family. Families with sons gain wealth and daughters-in-law. Families with daughters lose both their wealth to dowry and their daughters. This cultural preference for sons has led many families to rid themselves of female children. Baby girls are frequently aborted, killed immediately after birth, or abandoned. Those daughters that do live, though, often become victims of neglect and abuse. This mass extermination of female children, this gendercide, is the direct result of cultures which place a high value on the lives of boys and a low value on the lives of girls.
This next video is of a Chinese citizen whose children have become a victim to infanticide.
This is Liang Zhen. She is a Chinese resident who lives in rural Yulin. She lives with her husband, Lu Zhen, and a 3-year-old son. Their son is the 4th child. Each child before that was a girl. Is that true?
Yes, I have one son. My 3 girls are dead.
What happened then?
I killed them.
Why did you kill them?
The girls cannot carry out. They are girls, not a boy.
That makes sense. Would you please elaborate?
Girls cannot carry on the Zen name. They leave the house and do not take care of my husband and I when we are old and senile. They cost money and cannot work for the house.
Okay, well, how did you kill them?
I took a cloth like this, read it and folded it and placed it on the heads.
That's not normal. Did you name your daughters?
D.E., D.Air, and D.Son. First, second, third.
Do you wish you could have kept your daughters?
Yes, but we need a son to carry out the name and take care of us when we are old.
Do you know there are other options besides killing your daughters?
Yes, but if we leave them somewhere, they might have a bad life, and it's just easy to know where they are now.
Sure. Okay.
The Janssen story is not unique. There is a numerable amount of lost babies in this world due to abortion or infanticide. There are many stories like Leanne's. Some women, when they talk about killing their children, they don't show hardly any emotion and little, if any. The fact is, this is part of their culture. They were brought up and live in a culture where it is acceptable and sometimes encouraged to kill their children. If this killings of China's young girls continue, there's going to be a battle for wives for this generation's male population. Women are beginning to be kidnapped to secure wives for the males of the family. Research shows that by the end of the decade, China will have 24 million leftover men who are not able to find a wife.
The people of China feel the only way to get by in life is to have a son. The daughters leave and do not carry on the family name. They also are expensive and cannot make a lot of money for the family, along with the dowries they would have to pay to the husband's family of their daughters. With additional children, the parents have to pay an extensive tax to keep their child. For this reason, the girls are killed or abandoned, which is known as infanticide. Some methods of these killings include poison, a cloth over the face, known as suffocation, or drowning. If the girls are kept, they are sometimes neglected, abused, or treated as servants. The parents will also abandon their babies in random places. In rural areas, they leave them in places like markets because they do not have the state-controlled orphanages. Research shows 95% of abandoned children live outside of the state-controlled orphanages in the rural areas.
Not everyone in China follows the regulation of second child. There are parents who keep their second child and pay a large tax so they can keep them. Some women show indifference when talked about their lost children because they cannot be attached to their extra children. There are people in China who do not agree with this way of life and are fighting to change it. To help put an end to early abortion of a girl child, the OBGYNs are not allowed to tell the sex of the baby to the parents, for it is against the law. There are clinics that go around telling people of how men and women are equally important, and there are signs that preach this message also. Since 2005, Chinese orphanages have seen a decrease in abandoned babies each year, but it is still estimated that 10,000 children are abandoned every year. That is about 5 Grissom high schools. In the past, the majority of children abandoned were girls. Today, that preference still exists, but not as strongly as in the past. This photo is a good representation of the abandoned children in present-day China. Today, the abandoned children seem to be both genders, but usually sick or disabled. Looking at this photo, there seem to be girls and boys. In addition, there are sick and disabled children also. With Maggie's Foundation's help, we are going to build 3 orphanages. These orphanages will provide a place for the parents to leave their children where they know they will be cared for. The orphanages will create an option other than infanticide or abortion. Each of the orphanages will be built for $5 million each. With the extra $5 million, we will provide supplies and personnel for the orphanages. The orphanages will provide homes for 130 to 170 children in every orphanage. Thank you, Maggie's Foundation, for your time and consideration.